Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, as always, Jacob Boyers. Jacob, we've got good news, reasons to smile on this podcast outside of the football program, which, boy, we don't hear that too often around here. The Cats, in the renewed rivalry with Indiana, take down the first one, 72-60. And what was a very ugly, very sloppy game. But, Jake, we're going to get into it a little bit more. That might just be how we have to win these games going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to hop on here and talk about beating a Power 4 opponent and not coming on here talking about a 35-point loss. So, hey, I'm with you, Cam. I don't care how we win these games. It's nice to get one and get it under your belt. And now let's look forward to Saturday and possibly get a little streak going. I mean, I don't know. People are talking. People are saying. But no, obviously not the prettiest game, but at the end of the day, I don't care. I'm happy we got to win.
Yeah, we mentioned that coming into this game. Almost we didn't care if it was a way in which, you actually shot the ball well from three, or if this was a way you just fought and clawed to be able to get a win. And it was the latter of those two. And Jake, we texted maybe 5-10 minutes into this game. This effort was on a completely different level from this team, from the starting tip. Granted, shots still weren't falling that entire first half and really the entire game. But I think from the tip to the final buzzer, this team really performed. I think they got Big Blue Nation's criticism, and obviously Pope getting another message out there with Brandon Garrison's benching. I think really renewed and revitalized this team, especially with getting a lot of those other pieces back.
Yeah, I mean, the effort was obviously huge. The first half was still just atrocious basketball. We were talking about it on the offensive side. I don't know how many times I had to watch guys come down and one dude dribbles and there's two guys within 5 feet from him standing there, and there was zero spacing. That was the first thing I texted you, was this spacing is absolutely atrocious. But you know what? They did what we kind of said we wanted to see them do, and they went out there and fought. And we said, play five guys that are going to go out there and fight as hard as they can for you. And they did. And would I have guessed Brandon Garrison would have been one of those five after the first 10 games we saw this year? No, I wouldn't have. But you know what, man? He went out there and he took all that criticism, that benching, and he went out and obviously played his best game of the season, but maybe even his best game at Kentucky. Just, he was all over the place, hustling, running, playing with energy, get a block and trying to fire the crowd up. The dunk was huge. And then, Jalen Lowe and Mo Diabate just provided a spark that this team needed. And the other thing that I thought was huge, how about, in the second half, Pope pretty much just went with his five guys, and unfortunately none of them were Colin Chandler, Aberdeen, or Moreno, who, had obviously played well to that point. But I just think it was nice to not see Pope kind of get in his head and pretty much say, these are the five guys that have kind of got me to this point, and I'm going to roll with them here.
Yeah, and this is kind of something I think we've begged of Coach Pope, is just to see what works in the first half, see what's working for you, and just make that adjustment for the rest of the game. That might not work game in, game out. That might not be the same five or the same six that you get to play. But just that consistency of, hey, these are the guys that are giving me the best effort. These are the guys who have shots falling. This is what's working. Let's continue to use it. I think that's something that you and I have been looking for Coach Pope to find early in this season. And it obviously didn't happen in the first half. We only had 32 points on 32% shooting and 11% shooting from three and 62% shooting from the free throw line. And we're going to talk about it. I think us getting to the free throw line was a huge part in why we won this game. But Jake, I get neither you or I think this is going to be a great shooting team. But man, can we find a little something? Because I don't think we're going to be able to win a lot of games like this. I think there's going to be games in the SEC that you can win like this, but we're going to have to shoot a lot better than that.
Yeah, shooting's obviously a big concern. I still don't get it. Cam Williams, I thought, played really well, and I thought you saw a lot of good things out of him, and that was the big reason he was in there for a lot in the second half. But the one thing you didn't see out of him was the ability to shoot the ball again. I don't know. I don't know if it's in part offensively, but at the end of the day, we've talked about it. These guys are getting pretty solid looks. So like if you can't shoot in Rupp with, the crowd there supporting you and everything, a place you're familiar with, then how can you expect to where are you going to shoot good? And we haven't seen this team shoot good yet this year. I mean, we're kind of getting in like territory where like wide open Otega Owe might be like one of your most like consistent shooters, and that's not something I think either one of us expected to say. And I think that is in part kind of goes both ways. One, it's kind of a testament to Otega's knocking down open shots, but two, I think it shows just how poorly everybody else on this team's shooting.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we're going to kind of talk about it, but Jalen Lowe was huge in this game. Obviously, we've talked about how big he's going to be for this team going forward. But even in this game, like that open looks from three were there. Like Cam Williams has that one fall in, and then his very next 3-point attempt is maybe 40 feet away from the hoop. Which don't get me wrong, I think Cam Williams played a terrific game, especially after sitting the whole first half in the previous game. I think he gave you great energy, was great on the defensive side of the ball. And that block that he had, I genuinely think he's the only athlete outside of JQ when he's fully healthy that is going to be able to make plays like that. So when we mentioned, we don't need all of these guys to hit, but you got to have one of them step up in games like this. And I think Cam Williams really did that defensively, especially. And even with, I wouldn't say it was a poor shooting night. He went 1 of 2 from 3, 3 of 5 from the floor. I would like to see him grab a couple more rebounds, but his rebounds were very, very crucial. He had 2 offensive rebounds. And I think the story of the game in a lot of ways was how hard we crashed the offensive glass. We got 14 offensive rebounds in this one. And really, obviously, half of those were to one guy, and you've had him missing out, last 3-4 games? I can't remember. Mo's been out. For him to grab 7 offensive rebounds in his first game back, that's insane. And Mo Diabate deserves all the credit in the world because his infusion into this lineup resulted into our biggest win. And there's so many screenshots and, just for all of the negativity that we saw around like Brandon Garrison, where it's like, how did he not get these rebounds back-to-back plays? The exact opposite with Mo Diabate, where you see 5 guys around the rim and somehow Mo comes out with the offensive rebound. I can't say enough about what he did. 14 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 steals. When we talk about early in the season, we were like, can he just be like the 6'7", 6'8" Amari Williams? These were the games that we were hoping for, and boy, did he deliver.
Yeah, you can't say enough good things about Mo. And the thing is, like, he's got his faults. We all know what they are. He's not the most skilled player offensively, but just to have that motor running out there, and you see where, even though he's not the most skilled offensive player, he's still going to find a way to be an offensive threat by grabbing boards and fighting for balls and, finishing at the rim. So I just think his energy truly kind of trickles through this entire team. And, back to Cam Williams, I think he obviously played really well. I do have to say that layup on the fast break attempt was maybe the worst possible thing I've ever seen in my entire life when he got stuffed underneath the rim.
And we missed a lot of layups in this game. Jalen Lowe missed 2 wide open ones as well. And, as much as I love Lamar Butler, and Jake, you and I went back and forth on this all year last year, we got another point guard with a bum shoulder who can't make layups.
Yeah, I don't get it. I just think maybe that's just our lives as Kentucky basketball fans going forward. But yeah, I think Mo's energy completely, just flew through this entire team and had everybody getting involved. I want to go back to Brandon Garrison, man. Obviously, we've both been as critical as anybody, and deservingly so. It's not like, we're being harsh on the guy. He legitimately had zero interest in playing basketball, it felt like, for the first 10 games. To get that benching last week and then come out and, like, this is how you respond, like, it was a pretty special moment. And I think, we thought maybe even he didn't handle it the best because Pope was still so frustrated after the game on last Wednesday. But to come out and just play with that energy, play with that effort, be everywhere. He was all over the floor. It was huge. And, it felt like last year, every fifth game or so would play really well and play with energy. I hope we're not, on that same kind of course. But to see him do it in this kind of a game your back was against the wall, you had to win, and for him to come out there and play with that level of intensity, I think was pretty special.
Yeah, and you mentioned it there. It's just about getting him to do this consistently. Because look at the stat sheet. There's nothing crazy that blows you away about what he did. 6 points on 50% shooting, 5 rebounds in 20 minutes. Nothing about that screams, crazy efficient or just like team leader. But you see the energy that he brings. First off, that dunk that he had, second only to Colin Chandler's so far this year, should have been an and one. You see that like when Brandon gets going, this team can like rally behind that. You just need that to be something that's not so few and far between. Like this is the first game I think we've looked at this year where I look at BG and I think of him in a positive light. And it really showed. He gets 20 minutes in this game. Granted, he did have half of the team's turnovers, which, Jake, 4 turnovers for a team. That was incredible. A big reason as to why we won this game as well.
Sure.
But BG gives you that ability to, even when it's just like little things, like I'm even looking at like the personal fouls, 4 personal fouls, just calls hard shots down low. Like right now, we still don't have that interior presence, and he can really step up and be that. Obviously, we're hoping and praying that maybe JQ's playing this Saturday, Jake. Maybe.
That's the whispers out there.
That's the people are talking. That's what they're talking about, Jake. And we'll have boots on the ground Saturday.
I don't know who's letting you knuckleheads in, but somebody
first
did
ever men's basketball credentialed game for the Cats Talk podcast, and it's going to come with Rick Pitino and Mark Pope facing off for the first time. We'll talk about that a lot later. Got off on a little bit of a side tangent there. But Jake, this team's energy and effort and focus just to like the mundane task to where it's boxing out, getting those rebounds. They even technically got out rebounded in this game. I know a lot of them were on, missed free throws, which we got to talk about that because 38 free throw attempts and only knocking down 25, shooting 66 from the line. If we're going to try and win games like this, we got to start hitting those free throws.
Yeah, again, whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll work through it. I don't care. Like, there's not anything that's going to really bum me down about this particular game. But, yeah, you would like to see them, obviously, shoot free throws a little better. And then when you just look at, honestly, the flip from the first half to midway or early in the second half, I think was so big. I'm sure you felt the same way. There was not a period in that first half where I thought like we were going to win this game. The fact we were only down 7 at halftime, I kind of took as a blessing, but I did not feel good one way or another. And then I don't know if you remember it, but it was 49-42. Somebody on Indiana had a wide open look at 3, and I literally thought as he shot it, that's game right there. Like once we go down 10, it's over. He missed, and then the Cats went on a huge run, and I think we even went up 52-49. But just that fight and that spark that you saw with Jalen and Mo coming in at that 14-minute mark or whatever it was there. I'm so impressed with these guys in the fight. Obviously the season hasn't gone how anybody's expected. They've heard a lot of the criticism, well-deserved criticism, and to come out and kind of answer like that in the last 14 minutes of a game that your season's not technically on the line, but it felt like your season was on the line, and to go out there and have that fight, I'll sacrifice a few missed free throws right now.
Yeah, to your point, you mentioned the first half and second half like differential and what made you feel confident going into that. Just kind of want to look at the minute disparity here for certain guys from the first half, second half. Otega played 13 minutes in the first half and then 20 in the second. Aberdeen only played 10 in the second half. And then you look, I think where it really becomes evident is guys like Colin Chandler played 12 minutes in the first half, only 4 in the second. Trent Williams, 8 in the first, 4 in the second. Malachi Marino, 14 in the first, only 7 in the second. And then look at the guys off the bench. Cam Williams goes from 9 minutes to 15. Brandon Garrison, 7 to 13. And then for Lowe and Diabate both went from 9 to 15 minutes in the second half. And that's really where you saw, you saw the whole game change there with those guys staying on the court, and really Pope just let them run with it. He's like, hey, it's working. Let's just keep it going. And just looking at the plus minus differential for those guys, Mohamed Diabate plus 18, Jalen Lowe plus 24, Cam Williams plus 15, and Brandon Garrison plus 7. Those other 4 starters that we mentioned that didn't play much in the second half, Denzel Aberdeen minus 8, Colin Chandler minus 8, Trent Noah minus 2, and Malachi Marino minus 1. So really it was Otega Owe in the bench that actually got this team over the hump and was able to play that physical, maybe not the brand of basketball you expect a Pope team to play, but one in which, at least against Indiana, they found a strength and were able to use it and execute. And led to a sloppy – actually, I don't want to say sloppy because only 4 turnovers in this game is insane.
Yeah.
But led to a non-picture perfect way of how Kentucky wants to win a game. And either way you slice it, they won the game and they needed it because it was getting desperation time.
Yeah. And it's funny because you said Otega in the bench, but like if you would have looked at that before the season, 4 of those guys would have been like your starters, obviously, Lowe, Diabate, BG, and Owe. So I just think, 1, it was obviously Lowe and Diabate getting healthy, but 2, and then BG just playing to the ability that we know he can kind of play to and with the energy that he can play. Again, he's not a perfect player. There's none of these guys are anywhere close to, but I think you can get so much out of them and find ways to win some games. Again, I don't think this is like a Final Four level team, but you can get a team that is competitive and a top 25 team and get some good wins here and there if this team just plays with consistent effort. And I feel like that might be what we talk about all season, but I really do think like it comes down to that. And they gotta just have consistent effort, and I'm expecting hopefully that they continue that on Saturday. We'll see how it goes in results of the score of the game, but I just think you probably don't beat Gonzaga no matter what. But if you have good hard fight like you had on Saturday, you're definitely not getting ran off the floor by 35.
Yeah, and something I just kind of wanted to look at real quick here. I mean, first off, we had 42 bench points. I think that speaks volumes. And you mentioned coming into the season, I mean, I think you look at Brandon Garrison, Jalen Lowe, and Mohamed Diabate, you expected all 3 of those guys to be starters, at least until this point in the season. And then, Jake kind of mentioned it earlier, 14 out of 27 on layups. So, like, this game, theoretically could have been worse. Like,
Yeah.
they could have made this to where it was a blowout win. Now, granted, I almost said Louisville. Oh, disgusting. Ugh. I was watching them in Tennessee play, so they're on the front of the brain here. But, I mean, Indiana did their fair share of helping us out as well. They turned the ball over so much in this game. They had 18 turnovers, and obviously their prolific scorer, Lamar Wilkerson, he got his 4th foul with like 16 minutes left in the second half. He was out for majority of that second half, which really allowed the Cats to go on that run. So I'm trying to caution myself and like pumping the brakes a little bit. And, we cover these games game in, game out. So we kind of ride a little bit of the highs and lows of the season. But I feel like this is something they can do similar to St. John's. St. John's is not a good 3-point shooting team. You were able to force Indiana, who was a good 3-point shooting team, into kind of playing your brand of basketball. The only thing I'm a little scared of when we're talking about facing St. John's is just the bigs that they have, I think, are probably going to cause us some problems, especially if you don't have that Brandon Garrison that you had in this game, or if you don't have a fully healthy Mo Diabate. But Jake, I think you could look at very similar stat lines from this game to Saturday against St. John's.
Yeah, I do want to say too, like I'm not going to listen to people say like, oh, Indiana just didn't shoot the ball well. Like, yeah, they missed some open shots, but I also think they took a lot of tough shots and had a lot of really tough possessions because of the Kentucky defense. I mean, again, I know it was Penn State, who's not very good, but like they just dropped 110 against Penn State a few nights before. Like this is obviously a very good offensive team, and to hold them to 60 is pretty remarkable. In regards to St. John's, I'm going to go back to our offense here, and I think it was was pretty interesting having, Barkley call the game, and it obviously be the first Kentucky game he's probably watched in 3 years. But I do think he summarized something pretty well. Vital a couple times said these teams are shooting too early and they're going this and that. Like Barkley made the point. Kentucky's so bad in the half court that the longer they wait, probably the worse shot they're going to get because there's zero spacing. So I just think on Saturday you got to treat it like it's free money and you go out there and you just play as fast as you can and let Lowe and Ortega at times probably drive us crazy by driving, instantly and looking for a shot right away. But I really do think that that's a really valid point of this team's probably not going to find a better shot later in the shot clock. Your probably best shot's going to be the first one you get when you get across half court and make one or two passes to a guy that's semi-open. That's probably going to be the best look we're going to get. So let's go for it. And then hopefully you can get out in transition at times, whether it's long rebounds or steals like we kind of saw on Saturday and get a few of those transition points.
Jake, if I was to just clip everything that you just said and played it back for you, this would sound like we're talking about a 2021 John Calipari led team or a 2018
it does.
Calipari led team, which is crazy that we've gotten here. But I completely agree with you, and it's something that we've been begging this team to do, and that's get out in transition, push the ball. Now, granted,
nonstop.
We haven't really been able to with Denzel Aberdeen running the one.
Yeah,
we've got to. I get, you're wanting to save Jalen Lowe. Or actually, I really don't even get it. That's probably what I'm trying to talk to you here. If the guy,
I don't know if you are now. I think after Saturday, that second half.
Yeah, you just have to. You got to run with them. Put them in the starting lineup. Jake, do you expect to see a big lineup change starting? Because I feel like after that game, especially with Mo having a full week off from his first game coming back, the potential of JQ. Now, obviously, JQ won't start if he does play in this game. But I feel like you have to make significant roster or at least starting lineup changes in this one. I don't think you can watch what Colin Chandler, Denzel Aberdeen, and Trent Noah gave you on Saturday and think that's a lineup that you can run forward, especially with athletic guards like St. John's has. Because while St. John's guards can't shoot, they are athletic and can get to the rim. And that's when Hopkins and Ejiofor can really make their damage. And that's what I'm scared about because, Jake, I don't know about you, man. I was very high on the first 7 games of the Malachi Moreno freshman season. Yeah. These last 4 have been anything and everything that I haven't wanted to see from them. I'm starting to get a little scared of what Ejiofor and Hopkins could do to Malachi Moreno on Saturday.
Yeah, I think even weeks ago when Malachi was playing as well as he was, we kind of knew St. John's is going to be a tough game for him no matter what, right? That's a tough ask to ask an 18-year-old to come in there. And I think we'll probably even see Malachi be better in those short spurts as he's playing the role that we expected him to play this year, through SEC play and everything else. As far as the lineup change, I think you do. If Jalen Lowe and Mo are both healthy enough to play 15 minutes in the second half Saturday, and you really didn't even bring them in until 3 or 4 minutes into the half. So
timeout.
Yeah, they pretty much played from the moment you put them on the floor and you never took them off. So if they're healthy enough to do that with a week off, I expect both of those guys to be in the starting lineup. And then I think Pope will have to decide, is it Colin or Denzel that goes to the bench? I do agree. You said it a couple weeks ago, Owe, Chandler, and Aberdeen just kind of can't all be out there together. I think you kind of saw that. I think also another point you made of Cam being at the 3, I think he looked more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's so hard. I don't know if you spend a whole year just kind of flip-flopping back between your starting bigs on, which one you want out there. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Brandon Garrison goes and starts Saturday. I think he's kind of earned that after how he played against Indiana. So, the nice thing is now you kind of have some options. Just give me, 7, 8 guys that you can kind of trust and play, and they're going to play hard. I know you kind of hinted at it before. I'm now there with you. I think the Trent Noah thing's just probably done. He doesn't look good enough, unfortunately.
right
And
now, I've had these conversations, and I get it. I get
if you're
the
going to
fan.
have Cam, if you're going
Yeah,
to have Cam Williams playing that well, and we expect Colin Chandler to be a little better. If those guys are your two main threes, I don't see a world where Trent Noah fits into this team.
yeah, and especially this Saturday. Like there is no world in
Yeah,
which Trent Noah can play more than a couple spot minutes if somebody gets into foul trouble. And I get the fanfare of everybody wanting the Harlan County kid to be able to strap up with the blue and white and go out there and make these meaningful minutes. But I think you're seeing Pope at least finally start to realize and recognize that. I mean, he had played 11 minutes in this game, didn't get you a single rebound, did have 2 assists, but 1 of 3 shooting, missed both of his threes. And if he's not going to be able to shoot those threes, like right now, if him and Cam, let's just put them both, they're fighting for the same minutes because they're both playing the 3.
Yep.
And Cam gives you that ability to play the 4. Trent really gives you no position versatility. Like I really don't even know what position Trent plays, so I'm going to be honest. Like if I was asking you and you had to ask me what he plays, he's an undersized 3 that plays like a 4, but he's 6'5". Like I genuinely don't know what he is. Like he played the 4 sometimes last year. You've seen him in the 2, but he's going to get blown by on defense on the 2.
He's too slow to play the wing, and he's not big enough to play down low.
Yeah, so I mean that's where we're at right now, and everything that he theoretically provides you, Cam Williams does it with a lot more athleticism and size and length.
And more upside. Like if Cam gets hot,
so much more upside. Cam Williams probably has the best upside on this team, maybe outside of Jaden Gordon's. Cam Williams, I mean, the ability theoretically to stretch the floor with that shooting. You saw the athleticism to block that 3. Like we don't have many guys. I mean, even over the last 4 or 5 years, that could have done that in a Kentucky uniform. To see that, his ability to run the floor, play the 3 or the 4, Trent just can't play much. I mean, he literally has to be we were in serious foul trouble, which in a game like this against St. John's, you could be. You might need Trent to come in and fill those minutes. Jake, something else I kind of wanted to ask you. Are we starting to get more and more concerned with Colin Chandler now that he's become a little bit, I don't want to say a focal point of defenses, but they are not giving him more of those open looks. Looks like he's getting more of those contested looks now, especially from 3. Hasn't really been finishing around the rim well either. Are we starting to get a little bit more concerned about what Colin Chandler is going to bring this team going forward?
It's weird. I actually part of me wants to spin zone this into it be better for him. I think there's a real world now that he's had a few of these games. He's not really the focal point. He's playing maybe a little less minutes. That when he comes in, teams being so much more focused on Jalen and Ortega and Mo and possibly even Cam Williams, that it just kind of opens Colin up and you kind of see him in a similar role to last year. I do think we were kind of, I said it. I said that there was a world, even back when I thought before we lost a bunch of games, I think maybe Colin Chandler's our second best player or something. And, he showed obviously some flashes of that. That was probably some fool's gold, but I still think this team could be really good with him being, one of your starters or first guy off the bench, whether you want to go him or Denzel, whichever one, I think. But Colin's a guy that I think he's going to find a role where he plays pretty much 20 minutes. I would like to see him and Denzel practically split whatever that 2-guard minutes are, however you want to do it. And I actually think this is going to get him back into a better role that he's more comfortable, and hopefully he doesn't have to feel like he's got to go out there and kind of be the offense, because clearly he can't be. And, that's not just to crush him. There's not really anybody on this team that kind of can, outside of probably Lowe being able to get to his spot when he wants to, but he's still got to be able to finish. I actually think it's going to put Colin in a little bit of a better spot, getting a lot of these guys back.
Yeah, one thing I actually still want to see, because we still haven't really seen it, is Colin be able to play with Jalen.
Yeah.
To be able to, somebody who can get to their spot and give him those more open looks, because right now it's the only guy who can do that. We see when Denzel, I think specifically Denzel and Colin are on the floor at the same time, there just is no offensive cohesion. There is no spacing, because both of them are okay 3-point shooters. Both of them can't really create their own shot. They can't create shots for others. I think that's why you've seen like you mentioned, the first half, how stagnant that offense was. There was no spacing. But I don't like if I'm looking at it, you have a sophomore who's got athleticism and is shooting the ball at a higher clip versus a senior who's not shooting the ball well. Like if I'm talking about who's getting those two guard minutes, I get you might have overpaid Denzel Aberdeen, you might have given him the money, but at a certain point, man, the money doesn't matter. You got these guys on the roster, you got to figure out what works.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Denzel, like, I think he's just going to be a player that we're going to be frustrated with at times, but like he's also going to make plays that are huge. I mean, he had a couple big time floaters. It felt like, you know, I I didn't feel like he played good, but like I also didn't feel like he was awful. He did have, I think he airballed a layup. I don't really know how
He
that's
airballed a layup
possible.
and the mid range shot at some point too. So he
Yeah,
somehow added two more to his airball total, which
but
some like the field of 68 might be keeping those stats or somebody like that. So if Jeff Goodman knows, like, can you let me know like how many
you
how
can
many?
ask him on Saturday. I bet he's at the game.
Yeah, if I see Jeff Goodman on Saturday, I'll ask him if he's ever seen a player airball more threes or more just shots in general. Because right now it's not even threes. He's
The
done it from the
layup
mid.
was the layup was tough. That was a tough look.
He's done it
Uh,
from the up. But the one thing I kind of wanted to mention because I think those are two that are going to be with Jalen coming back, hopefully at full strength or at least as much as full strength as he can be. Those
well,
are two guys that are going to be battling for that spot because
well,
obviously,
one more quick point. I don't think it's just those two guys. I think now with Cam playing the three, it's really like those three because you're going to play Otega and Jalen Lowe, I think, for most of your games. So it's who's going to be that third out there. And
if I'm going to be honest, I think they're going to find a way to have either Denzel or Collins start, just to have Cam Williams come off the bench. I
well,
think they.
start, yeah, but I just mean like the majority of your minutes and second halves. Like, are we going to see the lineup that we saw in Indiana? But my point is, like, Otega and Lowe are going to be out there. So it's really Colin Denzel and Cam Williams fighting for that third wing player.
Yeah, and where I was going with it was I genuinely think like as long as you have like full effort Cam Williams and there's not anything that gets him benched for an entire half, I think his role is almost more defined with this team that we have currently than the other two. And that's where I look at it and I think you're really fighting between Colin Chandler and Denzel Aberdeen of who gets those minutes. And I think you know where I stand. I mean, I personally I get that Denzel's been playing a little out of position, but he's also like that's kind of why we brought him in to be that backup point guard just in case we needed it.
Yeah.
And to go 25 minutes in this game and not record a single assist for a guy who's got the ball for most of that entire time, it's just I don't see the benefit that he's bringing you right now. And I'm going to sound like a broken record because I feel like I keep saying this week in week out. I do think he has a spot on this team and on this roster, and I do think he can be a big part into however far this team goes. But I think what you saw from him at Florida last year is his peak, and I think he's already shown that through these first games.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think he's, like you said, he's going to play a pretty pivotal role at some point. I'm not ready to completely give up on him, but that's also like we knew this was going to happen, right? There's going to be guys that get left behind, and it's because you brought in so much depth. Like by mid January, like this rotation's got to be locked down to like 8 guys. Like everybody else in the country does it. We got to figure it out. And yeah, you can still technically play like 10 guys, but those last 2 guys are probably playing 3 to 4 minutes in a game, right? Like just little stretches here and there. And I think when you look at it, like it's going to be one of probably Colin Chandler or Denzel Aberdeen, unless Cam Williams completely falls off. I guess it could be him, but like it is kind of crazy to think one of those 2 guys probably aren't going to be playing a ton late when you're talking about just everything with the offseason expectations. You thought Denzel was obviously this big veteran piece that you brought in. You paid a lot of money to Colin Chandler. We all talked about the jump we were expecting to see from him, and then we saw how well he played early in the year. To think like one of those 2 guys is probably going to be playing very few minutes here in about a month, but I think it's going that way. And I mean, if you made me pick between the two, I'm probably there with you with Colin for the upside, but I just think it's so insane to think that Denzel's not potentially going to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, like the entire offseason, whether what we said in the offseason has rung true or not, this team does still have depth in numbers of guys who can go out there on the court and play. And at some point, you knew this was going to have to happen,
Yep.
especially with JQ coming back, and you obviously didn't expect this many minutes to be available for this long into the season with all the injuries that we've had. But I think you can look at a box score going down, in SEC play, and I think you'd expect Jalen Lowe and Mo Diabate to play more than 24 and 22 minutes.
Yep.
I think you'd expect Ortega. I mean, he played 33 minutes in this game. I think that's probably what you're just expecting going forward. And then between the three of them, Trent, Colin, and Denzel Aberdeen, I mean, looking at 52 minutes, I think that's something you're going to look at the three of those guys, and it's probably going to be something where it's like 30 between the three, and you're probably looking at 15 and 15, something around there for Denzel and Colin. But Jake, I mean, there's 200 minutes to go around in a game. Obviously, I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here, but like your ideal lineup, we're talking about shrinking this lineup, getting it down to 7, 8 guys that you feel good about. Like, what does your ideal 200 minutes look like for this team?
Ooh, I mean, obviously, like
It's a tough question to put you on the
yeah.
spot for, but hit me with it.
No, I mean, I think if healthy, Ortega and Jalen Lowe both have to play. I think a majority of minutes. I think they both got to be 30 a minute night guys for you. Right now, without JQ, I'll say like you still probably see a pretty even split between Malachi and BG, who starts, who finishes the game. You honestly probably just go over who's giving you the energy and the effort on that given night. But I think they both are probably, depending on the night, one might play 24 and the other one plays 16, and vice versa the next night. And then I think Mo's a guy that's going to play 25 plus. So then, yeah, I mean, I think your bench after that, I think you just go, Cam Williams, Chandler, and then Aberdeen a little less. Like, I think that's kind of got to be what I named there. I guess that's technically 9 players. No, that would be 8 because there's the 3 spot open. So, like, I think that would be my 8, and I would just kind of roll with them. It's crazy. We've talked about how good Yelovich has played. He didn't even see a minute in this game, and I don't really think you missed him. There wasn't anything that he would give you that I don't think you didn't see out there. So, I mean, those are probably my 8. And, back to the point, like Cam gives you some versatility, so you can play him at the 4 when Mo's out. You can play him with Mo. So, yeah, I think those are the 8 I go with.
Yeah.
Maybe if Malachi like completely falls off and continues on this path until JQ is fully healthy, maybe Yelovich is like the backup 5, but then you're again putting a lot of stock back into Brandon Garrison being consistently good.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you. I don't want to put many eggs in the Brandon Garrison basket just because it's something we've seen more times than not. Hopefully, he continues to prove us wrong, and that'll start with the big game on Saturday against those bigs and Ejiofor and Hopkins. But I mean, I kind of like where you're going there. I honestly think like you have to have 3 guys which play 30 minutes a game, and I think that's Mo, Jalen, and Ortega, which kind of just from a shooting aspect is not the most prolific 3-point shooting team you're going to be putting out there. But those are the guys.
What team do you put out there that does?
right now, there really is none, and I think you're right with the bigs right now. There has to be like a 40-minute split depending on who's giving you that effort, which one's working for whatever matchup. Again, we mentioned we think BG is probably the better matchup for this Saturday. And then, I mean, you're looking at 90 minutes still that are out there for the taking. Once you get outside that starting 5, I genuinely think you got to start looking at like Cam Williams for 25 minutes a game. I think at some point Jasper's got to you got to start putting Jasper a little bit on the floor a little bit more, because I don't think, granted, this might not have been the game for him to play just because of defensively following around Wilkerson, but 3 minutes I don't think is enough for Jasper. 10 minutes there, I mean, you're still looking at 60 minutes to go around. With how many guys? I mean, 60 minutes. I don't want Colin or Denzel playing over 20 either. So, really, even then, we're talking about how few these minutes are to go around. I still think there's a lot out there for guys. Whoever wants to pick them
Yep.
up and figure it out. And you just mentioned like Yelovich didn't even play in this game.
Nope.
Pope said that was more of a matchup thing, is why he didn't play. I don't know, man. I feel like we're always hearing stories about how when they're practicing, Yelovich has got to go run the stairs, or he's got to go touch the wall, or he's got to go do this.
It definitely could have been something like that.
I got a feeling there's something just effort wise that he's not doing day in, day out that is a reason he's not getting out there, because we've mentioned it. Like defensively, he's been one of your better bigs, especially moving side to side. Theoretically, again, I keep using the word theoretically, he's a good 3-point shooter and he has back to the basket moves. You think that's something you'd want, especially in a game against like St. John's. So I think on Saturday we'll really figure out if Yelovich has been cut from this lineup or not.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, to your point, I think only Saturday will tell. You ready to get in and talk a little St. John's action here? We ready to do it?
Let's go ahead and talk about what St. John's has done so far this year. Obviously they played Bama really close, lost 103-96. Then they've got two other losses, lost to Iowa State by a point down out there in
that was
Vegas.
a great game.
Yep, Jake, I know you were watching that one. And then they lost to Auburn as well. So, all three of their losses are to very, very good teams. And they've played varying different types of basketball in those games. Against Alabama, they almost put up 100. And then against games, against Auburn, they only put up, 80?
Yeah.
Auburn, they put up 74. And then against Iowa State, they put up 82. So, even for you look at this team, they can't really shoot
63 against Ole Miss.
Yeah, and won that game. So, they have a variety of ways to win. This is why I think this game could be very low scoring. And it's gonna be quite an ugly game, I think, Jake. But St. John's, let's first off kind of just hit on the storylines, obviously. Coach Pitino versus Coach Pope, a little master versus what is it? What's the word I'm looking for there? The master versus
and apprentice.
Study? Yeah, the apprentice, whatever phrase you want to use. Both of these guys are going to want this game. Obviously, they both kind of need this game regardless. Both of them are kind of trending a little bit under what they thought they were going to be doing so far in the early season. Who do you think gets it, Jake?
Just in general, like Rick hasn't performed very well playing, against Kentucky. It's obviously a lot different.
A lot with Cal, yeah.
Well, and not only that, we obviously hated him, and I think he pressed because he felt, one, he wanted to beat Cal, but even before that, just, he wanted to prove to people he was kind of right for, going to Louisville and all that, all the stuff we've talked about for years and years and years. So maybe he's more relaxed because all the stories used to be just how much he stressed and amped up the Kentucky game. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's to that point. Here with St. John's, it's obviously a lot different. I think Pope obviously needs the win. To your point, St. John's is sitting here with 3 losses. They obviously have some better wins than Kentucky, but they kind of need it as well. I think for Kentucky to win, like, we're gonna have to play as fast as possible because as bad as our half-court offense is against some of these, teams ranked 300 in the net, like, it's going to be really bad against St. John's if we're, getting 20 seconds into the shot clock before kind of deciding what we're going to do. I think we're going to have a really difficult time. So I think we're going to have to play fast. And to your point, I don't really know how we stop their bigs. So we're going to need to try to score. I don't expect this to be like the Alabama game in the, just under 100, but
I would be floored.
I think we're going to have to try to push tempo and score. I think that's the only path here for success.
Yeah, I think somebody who's going to be huge in this game, and we mentioned how great he was in this last game. I think Mo Diabate is going to be huge in this game. Whether he's able to match up
a Mo game
with Bryce Hopkins. Bryce Hopkins is only 6'8".
Yeah, I think it's a good matchup for him.
I do too, and I think that's one that whether he might not win the matchup outright, but if you can take theoretically what is your bet, your like third or fourth best player on the team and take out their second best player, I'll take that trade 10 times out of 10. So I think Mo can be huge in this one. And hopefully he's a reason Bryce Hopkins is slowed down a little bit. When it comes to Ejiofor, I'm scared.
Hold him, foul him. I don't do something.
I'm just going to say that. I'm scared because if you tell me you get the physical Brandon Garrison that has 4 fouls, that is able to, show a little effort, show a little heart, then I don't feel as, on edge about it. But I am truly worried if Malachi Moreno's in this game for a long period of time because he doesn't have the strength to hold up against Bryce Hopkins, let alone Ejiofor.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to – I mean, isn't it crazy, too, that they also have, like Ian Jackson being on this team? That's a name from the name from the past. I mean, I don't know, he's played some solid minutes, I guess. But, yeah, we've said it for weeks now. Like, this isn't going to be the Malachi game. So I do agree with you about, like, Yelovich maybe can see some run. Hopefully, again, I am kind of with you. I don't really buy the matchup thing last time. So hopefully he's got whatever figured out because I do think this could be a game where he earns some more minutes and solidifies himself as potentially being the backup 5. I know everybody's talked about him all year and off season as the 4. I think he could play a good role as being a 5 a lot. So, I mean, he's going to have to hopefully prove it in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the game in which you would think he would struggle just because Ejiofor is that big presence with the strength that he provides. I don't know, Jake. There's part of me that feels good about this game because I feel like while I'm not going to say Kentucky found something against Indiana, they at least found their heart and their will to play. They might not have found, the offensive system that works best. They might not have found the 3-point shot yet. I mean, St. John's hasn't found their 3-point shot. They really haven't found their offense either. Granted, they got some older guys you think might have been there in that situation. But, I mean, we have older guys too. So, Jake, I'm going to throw it to you. You're obviously not going to be making the trip to Atlanta. I'll be there sweating this out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to I was at the Georgia-Kentucky football game. I was able to keep it professional. This one, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to be there. There's no chance.
Please don't deny my credentials now because I'm saying I don't know if I could be professional in this, but man,
I would have to there's no way I could watch it on the floor right there around everybody on media row. I would have to get up and walk away and find somewhere else to watch it.
Yeah, there's going to be some under the table fist pumps. There's going to be some whoever's sitting next to me on the left or the right. Hopefully you're okay with getting hit a couple times randomly or hearing some negative comments throughout the game.
Yeah.
But Jake, this is going to be first off Atlanta, Catlanta. Big Blue Nation gets out to Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta so many times going to the SEC tournaments before it got moved to Nashville all the time. They obviously back in 2008 had that famous tornado that ripped through the Georgia Dome. So many different storylines that go into Kentucky going down to Atlanta. They're going to have a huge presence of fans. Let's just make it tough on Rick.
Yeah,
He's welcome back into the family. He thinks he's all the way back into the family. Let's go ahead and give him a little bit of the Heisman here and say, not so fast, Slick Rick. You're not all the way back in yet.
Yeah, we need to hate him again. I think that bodes well for us again. Looking back to his record against the Cats.
I mean, he still has that Louisville tattoo, doesn't he? Has he gotten rid of that?
I haven't seen it covered up, so I'm going to assume that it's still there. So.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's enough reason to hate the guy in general. But, Jake, go ahead and give me your pick for the St. John's Kentucky game. What do we got? And even, if you're feeling up to it, maybe give me an MVP or who's going to be an unsung hero of why Kentucky doesn't pull out this game or does pull out the game, whatever you're feeling.
Oh, man. Yeah,
I can go first. I got a score if you want it.
I'm gonna say mine, so hopefully you can yell at me and say I stole yours again, and then you can whine. You can whine about going first for the next 6 podcasts like you did last week.
Hey, all I'm saying is I went first and we won, so maybe we should.
That's true. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe we should keep that.
Floor is yours.
All right, Jake. I'm gonna keep this a close game. A little bit higher scoring than last game because, like I mentioned, I don't think we're going to go 14 of 27 on layups again. Hopefully, we don't shoot 66% from the free throw line.
Let me put my
Hopefully,
score in my phone because I feel like you're about to say exactly the score I was about to give. So
hopefully we make more threes than we did. Hopefully, make more than three. But again, I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game either. I'm going to say Kentucky gets 84 in this one, just barely gets into the 80s. And I'm going to say St. John's at 76. I'm going to say it's an 8-point win. Cats are right there, and it's a close game throughout the entire one.
I had 83-78, but I got to hit you with a Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend, because I think it's St. John's that wins. And believe me,
you look like an idiot.
I would love for them to make me look like an idiot. This, like I said, like we've talked about it for a few weeks now. Like I think we're gonna have a tough time with their bigs. I want to continue to see this team play hard. You know, I do think if we're gonna win, we're gonna have to get out and run. But like, there's a world where if we're not getting in transition, man, this score could be like low, and then you could still have trouble stopping them. I mean, there is a world where I think Kentucky could get in some trouble, but like we're gonna have to push it. We're gonna have to be willing to go pedal to the metal at all times, just because I think that's the only way we're gonna be able to find buckets in this one. So, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully, it's Kentucky scoring 83 and St. John's at 78, but I would love to be wrong. And if you want an MVP, I think we kind of already hit on it. I think it's going to be Diabate. I think he's going to play good defense on Bryce Hopkins. I think he's going to be able to rebound. He'll probably grab a couple offensive rebounds that I think will help you at key moments. So I'll take Mo as the quote unquote MVP.
Jake, this is what I'm going to say in regards to this. Early in the season, I think the preseason, I think you had the Cats winning this game and I had them losing. So I think we flipped on this just throughout the season. And who would have thought me, of all people, after what we've seen so far, be the one to flip to go to the positive town?
Yep.
Kind of surprised. But
I'm still positive on this team based on what I saw Saturday. Like, I still think, there were glimpses in there. Again, I don't think this is a Final Four team, but we at least saw the keys to being, by the end of the year, a top 20 team. But I still don't know if that helps you for this Saturday.
One thing I'll say is if we play guys like we did in the second half, and that is more of their minute total, or you're seeing Jalen Lowe play 15 minutes and a half, and you're seeing us get out on the run, get in transition, attack open layups, and if we don't make them get to the line, that's going to be huge in this game. You mentioned, Ejiofor can block shots. If you let those guys get there and sit there, neither him or Bryce Hopkins are known as being, finesse players or guys who can beat you with their speed. And I think a sneaky guy to watch here is Cam Williams. I think if he gets that matchup with Bryce Hopkins, I think he has a clear speed advantage. And if he brings him out to the three-point line, I think that really could cause a nice mismatch for the Cats if Cam's got it going. Jake, I'm going to say this now. I think Cam Williams gets into double digits. I think you look back at the end of the game, he's hit 2 threes. He's made some clutch defensive plays, gotten you about 4 or 5 rebounds, where you don't look at it at the end of the day and you're like, 10 points, 4 rebounds, who cares? But they're going to be key in traffic rebounds, just rebounds that a lot of our guys can't get at this moment. I think it's the floor and the ceiling that he possesses that can get us a win in this game. And I think him and Mohamed Diabate have to be huge in this game for the Cats to win. I'm going to put a little bit of stock in what Cam Williams did against Indiana, and I think he's going to roll with it against St. John's.
Man, I hope you're right, because if he does play that well, then I obviously think that would be a huge boost for Kentucky to win, because I think we kind of know what we're hoping to expect from Jalen Lowe and Ortega and even probably Diabate to an extent. So if you can get, a fourth option that I think can bring you a lot, whether it's him or BG playing with a ton of energy and making some plays, I think obviously that could kind of will you to a W.
Yeah, and Jake, let's hope you're wrong. I love it when you're wrong, especially
I would love to be wrong.
and I'd love to have my preseason picks wrong. Big Blue Nation, Cats Talk podcast on the road.
Women's volleyball, Final Four.
Yeah, you almost made me forget. You almost let me forget, Jake. Kansas City for the Final Four. A volleyball school, as Jake has been saying for what, about a month now?
Hey, it's the one UK sport my wife will watch with me, so we've been tuning in.
And I'm right there with you, man. It is electric watching those ladies play. And, I mean, they're just studs. I mean, you want to talk about feed the studs. Feed the studs on the volleyball team.
There's
Eva Hudson.
I don't even know what you call it. Yeah, the two hitters. I guess you call them hitters. I don't know. I can go wake Miss Kate up and have her come down here, and she would give a 20-minute insight on why they're so good. But from what I noticed, those girls just hit the ball probably as hard as anybody I've ever seen hit a ball. And I think if I tried to, hit one back, my arm would be sore for months. So
I'm right there with you. They got a level of athleticism I don't think you and I can compete with at this moment in time. But Jake, we're going to be down there in Atlanta, credentialed for this. So we're going to have access content for you all weekend long down in Atlanta. And Jake, guess what? Outside of that, big weekend for the football Cats. Jay Bateman and Texas A&M play this weekend, our defensive coordinator, and obviously Will Stein as the offensive coordinator for Oregon. He's going to be playing this weekend as well. This is a big UK weekend, even though there's only one Kentucky men's game, only one women's game. You got the Final Four for the volleyball. Jake, we just need a Go Big Blue. Give me a Go Big Blue, and we'll get out of here, baby.
Go Big Blue. Let's go. Come on. Catlanta, baby.